move on to a kind of a bit more specific now, and the waveform monitor and its actual scaling. Now, obviously, we work for Leader, and kind of the waveform monitor, is one of our core products within the set of analysis tools we have. And depending on the customer's operation, that can either be set up for an IRE scale or a millivolt scale. And again, this is something that from software products I've seen, they don't sort of seem to grasp this, do they, Steve? That there's different types of measurement.
No, they don't. They don't. And it even goes beyond this, when you get into HDR work and, looking at PQ and, maybe, doing 1,000 nit grade, 25% of the waveform screen is unused. You have the ability to zoom that out so that you have much greater resolution at the waveform that you're looking at that is being crunched down in the bottom 3/4 of the screen.
Yeah.
Or even worse, if it's a theatrical release and you're only going out to 80 some nits and it's really crunched down on the bottom, you have the ability to completely blow that out or expand that, not really blow it out, but expand that so that you have much greater resolution at what you're looking at.
Yeah. I mean, this is an interesting one. And I've actually seen, and here is an example where a client was using some internal software products on a reference monitor display. So this is not just a monitor, it's a reference monitor. And he was struggling to understand why on the right you see the waveform monitor and you see it's wide RGB, and you can see that the black pedestal is where I'd expect it to be. And this was for an HDR production. And it's sitting, a couple of percent above black, which is pretty much how most camera shaders set them up. Yet if you look at the reference monitor on the left, it's sitting at 0. Who's right?
It just doesn't have the bit depth resolution to be able to resolve the differences.
And what you also have to remember is that with these internal waveform vectorscope tools, that this is not their primary function. On the left, there is a reference monitor that's probably around about $30,000. Its job is to make sure that picture looks absolutely correct. Any imperfections, it shows you. The waveform trace on it is just a nice to have. It can be used as a confidence, but in this particular case, you can see I've got no confidence that is right.
Yeah, not at all. Not at all.
And who are you going to trust if you're doing a live production and you've got, say, 30 to 40 cameras?
Yep.
So, as we'll say throughout this, you need to be aware of these things. Speak to your operators, especially when it comes to live production and camera shading. The guys that do this job are extremely skilled. They have a rich set of tools they're used to using, aren't they, with dedicated waveform products. And if you remove them, it can make basically their job virtually impossible.
Yes.
And another one that you occasionally dive into, but again, you take for granted, is, line selection display. And also, you mentioned it earlier, the ability to magnify the waveform trace.
Yes.
These are tools that are not used every day, but you need to have them there when suddenly things do not look right. You need to dive in there.